Welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Matt. I'm the founder of Q4Launch, and we are excited you guys are along for the ride with us today as we dive into how to impact your 2017. It's not too late. We changed the title up a little bit from what we emailed out as I was working on the content. Just tweaked it a little bit, but excited that you guys are along. The topic is very much what we had set out to talk about. And we're going to dive into that today. If you've never been with us on a webinar before, quick 10 seconds on who we are. We are a hospitality marketing company or a destination marketing company that specializes in putting more heads in beds. We work with properties and destinations from Singapore to Maui and just about everywhere in between, and host a bi-monthly webinar series to share the information that we're getting from working with many of our customers throughout the world, primarily the U.S., to help you grow your business and share some marketing ideas and tips with you. So today we're going to be talking about kind of the halfway through the year, taking a look at where you are and analyzing how your marketing plan is performing up to this point based off of the expectations you set at the beginning of the year. So that's a little bit about us, a little bit about our agenda for today. If this is your first time on a webinar with us, we want to say a special welcome to you. Thanks for coming. Hopefully you'll find the content very meaningful, and you can watch your email inbox as you'll get future invitations from us for future webinars as well. And you can check back on those. We actually have another one next week, which I'm going to reference here in our content today. So, and a little bit another one 2 weeks after that I'll talk a little bit about as well. So lots of great stuff going on, lots of opportunities to come and learn the things we're seeing in the marketplace. Did see a lot of first-timers on today's webinar, so glad that you guys are here. A surprising percentage of first-timers on today, so it's always interesting when we see that. Always wondering how the topics resonate with people. But with that, let's dive into our content. If this is your first time, we will be moving pretty quick through things. We've got a lot of content packed into our time together today. I'd say most webinars have about 15 minutes of content packed into an hour. We take about 2 hours of content and try to pack it into an hour. So despite being from Charleston, South Carolina, we talk pretty fast and move pretty quick through our content. So with that, let's go ahead and dive in. We've got a few quotes we want to start things off with today to inspire some people. The first, your plans are only good intentions unless they immediately degenerate into hard work, Peter Drucker. And as I was thinking about this webinar, and I was thinking about good intentions, we all have them. There's lots of great quotes out there about good intentions. But what do we do with that? Like, when does it take action and become hard work? We talk about this, typically happens, but one of our highest attended webinars of the year is what we do towards the end of the year and the beginning of the year. We do it a couple times because of the attendance, but it's how to build your marketing strategy for the coming year. We do 2 webinars together, kind of how to build your strategy and what are our predictions from a marketing perspective for the coming year. And those 2 webinars are some of our highest attended webinars of the year. People that come to several, and a lot of you attend every webinar we do, but those ones just get tons of traction. And I was thinking about that. We see those people come and they learn and they grow and they get excited and they build this great plan, but if they don't take action, if it doesn't degenerate into hard work, that's it. It dies at good intentions. So maybe you're in that place. Maybe your marketing is not performing like you expected it to at the beginning of the year. Maybe that's because you've gotten distracted with running a business and everything else is going on, and you haven't been able to really put the hard work into your marketing efforts. Or maybe you are working hard at it, but you're just not seeing the results you want to see, or you're questioning the results you're going to see. We're going to give you some information today to hopefully help you figure out what that looks like for you, what's working and what's not, and how to benchmark those things. Another quote we wanted to talk about today is, progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything, George Bernard Shaw. And I think this is important because we're all after progress, right? We're all after progress in our business. We all have great intentions, as we talked about, but it's only possible with change. We have to change our minds on what we're willing to do. We have to change our minds on the strategies we've used and be willing to go after this in a different way. And the good news is, as we're talking about that, we have a half a year ahead of us. This webinar kind of broke our usual rhythm as far as a every 2-week rhythm because we really wanted to get it early July and take a look at that halfway mark through the year. Didn't want to do it July 4th week, but wanted to get it as close to halfway through the year as we could. And the good news is there's still time. There's still time to make a meaningful impact on your 2017 performance. for yourself and for your business. And we're going to talk through some strategies to do that today, which I'm excited about. Excited to help empower you guys with ideas to take some action in your business and make some progress in your business. So with that, let's take a look back at our 2017 so far. I mentioned a couple times benchmarking, and that's something that's really important to us because we want to understand how our data compares to the industry as a whole. And because we represent so many customers and so many destinations, we're really able to help our customers do that. And through this webinar series, help many of you do that. So we're going to share actual customer data today of our customers averaged across our customer base. So that's some cool news for you guys. We're going to share actual data. We're going to average it across our customer base, or we already have averaged it across our customer base. And you guys can benchmark yourself about this. Now, this is data from an average group of all shapes, sizes, and destination types. So you've got to take those benchmarks and tweak them to make them make sense to you. And we can do that. We can help you with that. We're going to talk about an opportunity you have where we'll connect with you one-on-one to actually help you do that for your destination. And we can share more specific information to your region or your state than we can on this webinar. But today we're going to look at some high-level, big-picture data that you can use as a start to your benchmarking process to know where you are and compare it to how your strategy is performing. And we have removed some outliers. So there's those outliers of crazy success stories. We have removed those crazy success stories because we want more accurate representative data of the base as a whole. And if you, you know that they're average, which means there's people above and people below. And if you find yourself below, doesn't mean that something's broken in your strategy. It just means that you're making progress towards that. So know when we talk about benchmarks that this is the average, and we're you need to think about yourself in relation to that benchmark. So let's talk about organic traffic. Organic traffic is the #1 source of traffic we see to our customers' websites. It comprises about 40 to 50% of total traffic to a healthy website. So if you have more than that, it could mean that your organic strategy is really, really good, or it could mean that the other parts of your strategy are weaker than they should be. If you have less than that, probably means you need to be investing a little bit more time or energy or money into your organic strategy. The good news is that organic traffic is up. You just have to know how to get it. We hear a lot of people in the marketplace saying organic traffic is down, search volume is down, and you kind of just have to grin and bear it. And honestly, that's true. Like, there are some keywords out there that organic traffic is down for, and that's probably what they're looking at when they compare that. But I think people use that as an excuse to say, hey, the keyword you're targeting, the traffic is down, so that's why your traffic is down. When in reality, as a good marketer, if you're saying, well, if traffic is down for that keyword, then what keyword should we be going after? And don't just say it's down, so you should be okay with traffic being down. Change the strategy, right? Make some changes. As Mr. Shaw said, be willing to make some changes if we expect things to be different. So to help you benchmark that, our average customer year-to-date has seen a 64% increase in organic search traffic. So a 64% increase when a lot of people are saying organic search traffic is down, it just kind of gives you some benchmark there and lets you say, okay, if that's what's possible, if that's Q4Launch's average, where am I and what do I need to do about it? Like, if I'm above that, awesome. There might still be some things you need to do, but if you're above that, awesome. If you're below that, that's maybe awesome, depending on where you are below that, but you probably need to be thinking about making some changes because that's the type of opportunity that's out there. And percentages are tough because, like I said, that's representative of customers all over the place in many different destinations. So you've got to think about size, and you've got to think about raw number of traffic. And we can't share raw, like, actual number data. That's why we try to tend more towards percentages most times. But if you have 50,000 visits a month, that data is very different than if you have 5,000 visits a month. So you got to think about that too, and think about raw numbers and what that looks like. We set the expectation to create about 25% growth year over year for all of our customers. This year, we're outperforming that significantly, which tells me that no matter what destination you're in, I mean, we represent over 100 destinations, so I don't think there's any destination that's an exception. But no matter what destination you're in, growth is possible. 64% may not be possible in your destination, but growth is possible from organic search. And if you're not growing, if you're flat or worse, you're losing traffic year over year, you need to be thinking about a change. It's too big a part of your strategy to not change. And it's not too late to affect change in your SEO strategy. SEO is one of the things that takes a while. It takes a little bit longer based on your website's history and a lot of other factors. It can range quite a bit and how long it can take. But here's some keys, here's some tips we want to share with you as you're thinking about SEO strategy. Because in my opinion, the days of old school SEO, of link building and doing a little bit of this and some guest blogs over here, kind of the old school traditional SEO, those days are dead. And in reality, Google has a much more holistic view of your marketing than they've ever had before. They understand your marketing, your website, how people are interacting with you and your brand in ways they never have before. And it's that combination of factors. We know there's over 200 ranking factors. It's that combination of factors that's leading to succeeding websites. Those are the combination of factors that we're testing every day to drive results like 64% year-over-year growth. The first there, content. You've heard us talk about it tons of times if you've been on our websites before, but that's changing in and of itself. Like, I know a lot of you have content, or maybe you've done an SEO audit or something like that with a company, and they revise your content, but they're just kind of plugging in some keywords here and there, and then they move on. But I'm here to tell you, we've tested content, we've tested rewriting entire pages of our customer sites, and when we do so, Google likes what we're doing. And what that tells us is a couple things, and they're mentioned kind of throughout as we talk about this, but writing quality is really, really important. And we're going to be doing more and more with our customers around the quality of writing that we're producing on their behalf and taking less and less of the content they just provide us that they've written themselves. Some of you are great writers, and that's awesome. That means that you're going to have a better chance of succeeding. But those of you that aren't need to be considering about investing in your copy. I believe, and many of us are in this place, we invest a lot of money in our website, we invest a lot of money in our photography, but you don't invest a lot of money in your copy. I believe in the future, and not too far in the future, people will start catching up to this, and they'll understand that the copy, the content of your website is as important, if not more important, than the photos of your website. And you've got to bring all that together. And I think we'll see a growth in professional copywriting within our industry. And that's a big part of what we do. We have 10 writers on our staff that create content all day, every day for our customers. So we have a tremendous team that enables us to drive success like that. But it's not one factor that can make that happen. Conversion matters. Google can see that. Google can see how well your site is converting. Google can see how it's performing from that perspective. And conversion is a symptom of user experience. And user experience is more important than ever, and they're measuring it. They're measuring it because of data inside of Google Analytics, but they're measuring it outside of that as well by tons of other tools that they have to be able to measure user experience. But I think as we think about SEO in the future, user experience is going to be the primary thing that we're looking at, and everything else is going to feed up into user experience. Content feeds into user experience. Photos and the way they're optimized and the quality of the image feeds into user experience. The code and the accessibility of your site feeds into user experience. Your conversion rate and how high that is a symptom of user experience, an indicator of user experience. So I believe that user experience is going to be an umbrella that more and more of us are talking about as we think about the future of search engine optimization. Page speed is a part of user experience, and it's a factor, but it's not as simple as you think it is. It drives me a little crazy, but the people that use Google's page speed insights as the de facto test of whether a site performs. Yet some of the best websites in the world fail Google's page speed test. And it really only tests one page of a website. So you have to look deeper than that. It's not as simple as people want to make you think it is. It's much more complicated. And you have to balance user experience with page speed. And that's a conversation we have with our customers a lot, is this in the customer's best interest? Is it worth sacrificing some page speed to get this functionality that will make our site work better for our customers, increase our conversion rate, and other things? We actually have 3 different tests that we run in the page speed category. And what we're looking at across those 3 tests is consistency and recommendations. So if we see a recommendation in one test but not the other 2, we don't give it a lot of weight. And Google's page speed test is one of those, but it's only one of 3. So you've got to expand your horizon and know that if somebody's just feeding you information, it may not be, it may be more of a sales ploy than anything else. Like you've got to dive deeper into that and not just say, oh, my page speed's bad and freak out. Like it is important, but you've got to understand the bigger picture as you're looking at that. Apple, fails Google's page speed test? And do you think that Apple is successful? Google fails their own page speed test, actually, interestingly enough. Reviews are increasingly important, and consistency is a big part of that. Consistent 5-star reviews. Consistency is, if you've heard me talk at a conference before, you've been on our webinars before, you know I believe that consistency is the secret to marketing success. Yet consistency is the hardest thing to do. And that applies throughout your marketing strategy, but it specifically applies to your 5-star reviews. And you need to have a strategy to drive consistent 5-star reviews. We believe that so much that we actually launched a 5-star review app about a month ago to help our customers get more 5-star reviews. And if you want to get more information on that, you can do so at q4launch.com/5stars. And there's a page with more information about that on it, or you can email me. I'll give you some more information. But it's really important to have a strategy to drive more 5-star reviews, and that app we've built is tremendously successful at helping people do that. And then a great website will encompass all of these things. If we're thinking about website design, I'm going to touch on it later, but a great website will encompass all of this to help drive SEO success. We launch new websites for about 95% of our customers. The other 5% bring over their existing website when they start with us. But our preference is to launch a new website for them. We take that responsibility on. We migrate their content. We do everything for them. But the reason is we want to make that simple because we know how important a great website is to your overall success. And to help put that in perspective, our customers who use our website platform see about 2.5 times the organic search traffic than those that don't use our website platform. Same blogs, same content strategy, same team, same marketing plan, same everything. The only thing different is the website piece. And that one piece is a 2.5 times factor as far as what we see the results are going to be. So a great website is really, really important as you're thinking about your success in 2017 and into the future. And we're actually teaching a webinar in I think about 3 weeks on 7 things websites of the future will have. And I encourage you to check that out. And I know many of you signed up for all 3 of these webinars at the same time, so make sure you're registered for that because that'll be a really important webinar as we're looking at the future of website design and helping you get some ideas to make some improvements there. So we're going to keep moving along here. Blogging is getting more fine-tuned to drive traffic. I know a lot of people have a love-hate relationship with blogging, and as I just talked about, consistency is key. Blogging is really hard to do, especially consistently, but it's really important. Our customers see about 30% of their traffic comes into their website, enters their website via their blog. Most people that we talk to have very little, if any, traffic entering their website via the blog. And we know that because it's not designed for that. We can see that in Google Analytics. We can help you understand how much traffic is entering your website via your blog. But that's important because that is travelers who are discovering your property via the blog content that you're creating. And your blog is a tremendous tool to drive traffic to your site. So much so that our average customer in the month of June received 2,913 travelers who discovered them via their blog. 2,913 people did a Google search and landed on our customers' blogs as a result. And once they land on that blog, we have a whole conversion path we designed for them, knowing that that's a different user than the one who enters via your homepage or the one that comes in via a room or an accommodation or a unit page or a property page on your site. So you've got to think about that person differently and build a conversion funnel just for that person, just for that person who found you via that search. So here's a few tips for great blogs. First, and you've heard us talk about this, there's a whole webinar we teach, or actually several webinars we teach on blogging specifically, but just a few quick tips for you. Keywords, make sure that the blog is keyword focused on something with actual search traffic. And I say that, and I say that, and I say that again, basically every time we talk about blogging. But the reason is we're out there in the marketplace, and we're looking at competitors of our customers, and we're seeing many of the blogs. People don't get this. And people create a lot of blog content that doesn't tie back to a keyword, that doesn't have search traffic, and they're just spinning their wheels, and they don't understand why blogging is not working for them. They don't understand why they're not getting 2,913 visits to their blog in the month of June. But it's because it's not keyword focused. There's a lot of factors, but that's one of them. It's a really important one. And make sure you're doing your research. We spend a ton of time researching blog topics and keywords and putting that together into a quarterly marketing plan for our customers ever long before we start writing. Once we start writing, we have a really good understanding of how a blog is going to perform because we've done our research up to that point to create success. But if you don't prepare for success, you don't create a strategy, you don't create a plan, you don't do your research, you won't have success after the blog is live and posted and Google has indexed it. I talked about the quality of writing and how important that is earlier on. I know many of us struggle with great quality writing, but if you do, you really need to engage with somebody who is a great quality writer. And that's different than what you probably perceive as quality. It's not necessarily the voice, but it's more just the overall skill that they're writing with. And Google knows. Like, Google knows how well something is written. They can test for that. And it's not saying go write at a PhD level. Writing to the consumer, writing to the masses, writing in a way that's quality content is really, really important. And make sure you have your depth of content right. 500 to 700 words is kind of a sweet spot that we target. But if there's more to the topic, like we have a really deep topic, or it's a highly competitive keyword, we will typically write longer form content for those deep topics and highly competitive topics because we typically need more words to get them ranked. But 500 to 700 words is an ideal frequency. That's one of the big mistakes we see people making, is they write content that's too short and they don't see results from it. And if you're not seeing results, if no one's reading your blog, then what's the point? Like, what's the point of all that time and energy you spent writing it if nobody's reading it in the first place? And then make sure you're using internal and external links. Linking internally and externally is a really important part of what you're doing from an SEO perspective throughout your website, from a conversion perspective to guide traffic where you want it to go within your website, and also from a blog perspective, just making sure that that's set up in a way. The links are indicators to Google about what's going on with your site, who you're associated with and affiliated with. There's a lot of really important information that can go into internal and external links. So make sure that's a part of what you're doing from a blogging strategy and SEO and conversion rate perspective, although we're just talking about blogs here. Moving right along, email marketing is changing, but still a top producer. We send over 1 million emails a month. I was going to say 1.5, but I think we're just shy of the 1.5 mark. But we send over 1 million emails a month, and the amount of data we have on this is unbelievable. So we track consumer behavior as it relates to email marketing quite a bit and use it quite a bit. And if you've heard us talk about email, you know how bullish we are on email marketing. And it's changing, just like everything else. Consumer behavior within email marketing is changing, but it's still a top producer. Our average customer has seen a 1,424% year-to-date increase in email marketing traffic. That's pretty huge. It's kind of crazy as a percentage, and I'll kind of blow that statistic up for you a little bit. And the reason that statistic is so high, even though we removed some outliers that were just crazy high as a percentage, it's because people don't do email well. Of all the things, and as I travel and I speak and I ask people in a particular presentation that I give, like, are you doing this type of marketing? Are you doing blogging? Are you doing SEO? Are you doing email marketing? And only about 5% of people raise their hand to the question, are you doing email marketing at least once a month? And in my opinion, if you're not doing it at least once a month, you're missing the boat. Once a month is not all that much. The ROI is really high. It's not that hard to do, but it tends to be the last thing on people's to-do list. Marketing tends to be the last thing on people's to-do list, but email marketing tends to be the last of the last things on people's to-do list. So part of the reason that percentage is so high is because we have a lot of customers that have come on in the last year who just flat weren't doing email marketing well. So once we start doing it well, the data is significant from a year-over-year perspective. But the same point being that email is a tremendous medium to drive traffic. And if you're not engaged in regular, consistent email marketing, you're leaving a lot of opportunity on the table. So here's 5 quick email marketing tips on how to make your email marketing perform better for you. And we really try to build these tips around things that you can do to drive success in the second half of the year. So, just kind of look at it through that vein. And email is one of the great things because email you could send a blast tomorrow. Like, you could sign up your own account on MailChimp or Constant Contact or maybe a more advanced software if you're a more advanced marketer. And you can send a blast tomorrow or this afternoon yet. It's 1:30 Eastern time. you could have a campaign out before the end of the day. It takes some work. It'll probably take the rest of your day, but you could do it. So it's a great tool to drive immediate results. But have a plan to grow your email list. The industry average is that, in the travel space at least, is that about 1% of your database will unsubscribe every time you send an email campaign. So knowing that you're losing about 1% of your database if you're the industry average, you need to have a plan to grow your email list. And adding new guests that are checking in is a really important part of that, but you need to think about other things beyond that to grow your email list and have a strategy to do so. Test, 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 and let the insights abound. We do a ton of split testing. And a lot of people think about split testing as the traditional sense where you send a campaign to a sample list with one thing different. You have an A and a B, or sometimes it's referred to as an A/B test for that reason, and you see which one performs. But before we even get to that point, we do a ton of testing. We test email subject lines in software that we have. We test the blog topics that we're writing in software that we have. So before we even get to the part of actually creating the email campaign in our software, we have tested. We're usually testing about 3 email subject lines before we would even go into a split test situation. So you have to test, and then let the insights abound. You will be surprised what you learn about your list and about your customer when you do this type of testing. And one of the things I love about social media is it's a great way to do a quick, dirty split test and say, what image is going to engage my customer the most? Post those 2 images in social media and see which one gets the best engagement. That's not a real scientific split test, but it's better than doing nothing. Use marketing automation to increase your return on time, or your ROT. As I wrote that, I realized it's spelled rot, and you may hear some marketing books from us in the future revolving around rot, but but think about return on time. I know a lot of us talk about return on investment, and as we talk about that, we really look at return on investment as money invested. We also look at return on investment as time invested. But I wanted to break that out separately here and just talk about ROT, return on time. Because if you're using marketing automation, the hardest part about email marketing, and I think why people don't do it consistently, is because it takes a lot of time to create a campaign. But if you can tie that campaign you created to some type of guest lifecycle or automation event or something like that, that one campaign you create can pay dividends for years to come. So in traditional email marketing, you spend 2, 3, 4 hours creating an email campaign. You send that out, and that campaign is over. You don't use it again. You don't send it again. It's just kind of, it's gone and over. And you kind of wrung the value out of that campaign as a one-time event. Now, you can do resends. There's other things you can do to increase your return on investment for the time you invested into that. But marketing automation is a tremendous tool to be able to take a campaign, think about it differently, not a geographic or a time-based campaign. It's just a campaign that's going to work for you. It's something that we would call evergreen, meaning it will work all year based on some factor of action that a guest takes on your website, the life cycle that they're in with you. There's tons of things you can make marketing automation around. But the great part of this is, with the growth in marketing automation, so many email marketing platforms have built that functionality into what they do. We're probably going to be teaching a webinar probably in September. We're going to dive into this topic, whole hour just on marketing automation. So keep your eyes on your inbox for that, probably coming in September. And then get consistent. Lack of consistency is the #1 mistake we see people making. I talked about that earlier, but that's a big deal in email marketing. That's speaking to that 95% that don't send one email campaign a month on average. And then analyze past performance to drive future decisions. One of our core values at Q4 Launch is to help our customers make data-driven decisions. And you need to be doing that same thing. You need to be analyzing your campaigns, what's working, what's not, using that data to drive future decisions. And when you do that, your campaign should be getting better and better over a period of time. Let's touch on social media. Social media is driving solid traffic. And that's true. You know, if you've been with us before, you know I'm not a huge fan of social media as a ROI tool. And that's kind of been the thing that people have debated about social media since the beginning is the ROI there? Honestly, I believe that it's impossible to measure the true ROI of social media. Social media can be a disqualifier sometimes more than it can be a qualifier. I know my purchase behavior as a consumer, oftentimes I will go to a company's social media presence after I have found them somewhere else, and I will check it out because I want to learn insights from other people from the crowd about this business. So I'll go to their social media presence to learn about this business from the crowd. So it doesn't necessarily, it's not how I found them per se, although I do find some businesses via social media, but more so I use it as a tool to say, will I purchase from this company or not? And in that sense, social media is important. In that sense of, will they purchase from you? Will they stay with you or not? And does your social media make them want to stay with you more or less? We've talked about purchase behavior in the past, and that purchases are a decision that's made based on tons of smaller decisions. Every interaction a guest has with you and your brand, your website, either gets them closer or further away, either makes them more likely or less likely to book with you. There are no neutral experiences with your prospective customer, with your prospective guest. So is your social media creating a positive experience or a negative experience based on the way, or if at all, it's being managed? But that's a little sidebar on how to manage social media effectively and how to think about its role in your overall marketing ecosystem. But from a sheer traffic perspective, our average customer has seen a 295% year-to-date increase in social media traffic, and that's specifically non-paid traffic, right? It's easy to drive paid traffic. You just throw some money at it and call it a day. So we're just talking about non-paid traffic in that specific case. So the good news is there is an opportunity to drive traffic with social media. Almost 300% growth that we've seen in that with our customers this year to date. But there are a few things we want to know about social media traffic. Typically, it's lower quality than other sources, and we know that based on the time on site or the session duration being the words that Google Analytics uses now, as well as the pages per visit conversion rate. We typically see it lower on social media traffic, but it doesn't mean it doesn't play a role. It's very effective in starting conversation between friends about vacations. We see this behavior a lot, specifically in commenting on posts. People will comment and they'll tag somebody in a post. They'll say, we need to do this at Matt Bear, and then they'll tag me in that post, and they'll call out different places we need to go. For one, I need to go to Redfish Lake Lodge. I know that based on seeing these photos in my news feed. Redfish Lake Lodge is actually one of our customers, and we sent an employee and a photographer up there to do some, as they were coming on board with us to really get all that ramped up. But so I had a lot of Redfish Lake Lodge photos in my news feed, but it made me want to go visit the destination. Now, they're a customer. I already knew they existed. I already wanted to go. But if I didn't know and that showed up in my news feed, and you can't see all 15 or plus photos that are there, but it made me want to go. Danny posting about her experience made me want to go. And it was, and it's very effective in creating that conversation. One of the things we know about social media is Facebook is here to stay. A lot of people have been predicting the demise of Facebook and that it's going to go away, but I'll tell you of the sites, and I was reading some information, reading an article about it just a couple weeks ago that my marketing director shared with me. But the information and the way that Facebook is positioning themselves within the consumer's life is making them indisposable. Like, they absolutely have to have Facebook because it has not become a way that they keep up with friends. It has become a tool that they run their lives through. And the way Facebook uses their platform to create that stickiness with their customers so they can't leave is huge. And engagement continues to grow from that platform despite all the competition in the social media space and everything else. And their revenues continue to grow as social ads keep growing, and they keep getting smarter and smarter about how they're serving those up. I wanted to touch on it a little bit here, but social ads are an opportunity from an investment perspective, but still seem to convert lower. So it's an opportunity, and we're doing some testing with social ads. Haven't hit a home run yet in the Facebook ad category. We've had some solid singles and doubles, if you'll let me use that baseball analogy, but nothing that we've gotten super bullish on there as far as, like, home run type scenarios from a social ad perspective. But it tends to be less expensive, at least right now, than some of the paid search mediums. So some opportunities to think about that there with your social media strategy, and what role does paid need to play in your social media strategy, because more than ever, social media is a pay-to-play platform, and it's growing from a pay-to-play platform perspective. So we got a few other things I want to connect with you guys on and share some thoughts. Probably 3 or 4 more tips we want to connect on. I don't have data we can share with you on all of these things. Had to cut down on the content to keep it within an hour. But some thoughts on paid search we wanted to share with you guys as part of your marketing search. When we say paid search, we're really talking about AdWords, pay-per-click, the Bing Ad Center, that type of traffic. Paid search is more competitive than ever, aka it's more expensive than ever. So you've got to think about that and the role that that plays in your strategy. Paid search may need to be a part of your strategy. It may not need to be. You have to analyze that on a one-on-one basis. But it's getting more expensive. So we believe that we would rather earn it than buy it. So that's a little bit lower down there, but we'd rather earn it than buy it, and that goes back to our statistic that I shared at the top of the hour, that organic search traffic is up 64%. So 64% meaning earn it. And we build a lot of our strategy around the opportunity to earn it, because what I like about earning it is when I earn it, it pays dividends for years to come. The work I do to earn organic traffic, I've got to maintain that. I've got to continue to optimize, but I can build on top of that. And that's why, even though we have customers that have been with us 3, 4, 5 years, we can still see year-over-year gains. Some of the year-over-year gains we're seeing with customers that are in their 4th year with us right now are strongest of all of our customers, but we're building on top of former success. And we're just continuing to build that like a pyramid. We lay the foundation, we lay the 2nd level, we lay the 3rd level, and we keep growing, growing, growing year over year over year. And honestly, the 2nd year is a sweet spot. Like the 1st year's tough because you got to earn it, you got to get there. It's not an overnight success, but that 2nd year, 3rd year, 4th year, the success that you can see when you go with an earn it rather than buy it strategy is really impactful and can mean a lot from an ROI perspective to your business. Contrast that with a buy it strategy. And as soon as you buy that click, you pay that $1.50, you buy that click, whatever conversion you get out of that $1.50 click, that's the value of that. There isn't a long-term residual value, because if you turn your ads off at the end of the day today, you will have no residual value from those ads. You'll have that customer who came, they spent money with you, and hopefully you can turn them into a repeat customer. You'll create residual value there. But from a traffic to your website perspective, you don't create any residual value with pay-per-click. So you're pouring money down that drain, and you need to know it's getting a return on your investment, because it's not building value for the long term like it can with organic. Now, that's not to say don't do paid search. It may have a part, but you have to be creative with your bid strategy. You have to think carefully about how you measure your ROI or your ROAS, return on ad spend, which is what a lot of people refer to it as when we're looking at paid search. And think about the bigger picture. Think about your long-term strategy that you're working towards. If you're in this place and you came to this webinar because maybe your year is behind where you wanted it to be, maybe your summer is behind where you want it to be, paid can give you an instant jump start. Unlike organic, paid is one of the tools that you can see immediate results from. Email marketing is one of the tools you can see immediate results from. Social is one of the tools you can see immediate results from. Organic, probably not as much. If you're looking for immediate results, paid might be the right thing for you, while at the same time building a strategy for the long term so that you don't have to keep spending that same money year over year over year. Because guess what's going to happen? With paid traffic and paid search becoming more and more competitive, it's going to continue to become more and more expensive. So your cost to acquire that guest right now is going to increase next year. I guarantee it. So if paid is a big part of your customer acquisition strategy, you need to plan for that part of your marketing budget to grow for the same results next year, which will reduce your return on investment. So you need to be thinking about that long-term effect of that. And don't go it alone. If you're investing in paid search, if you're spending $100 or $200 a month, you can go it alone and you can be okay. But if you're investing more than that, don't go it alone, because one of the things that pains me most is when we do an analytics analysis and we see someone who's wasting tons and tons of money on pay-per-click. And they heard about it, or they got a call from Google, because Google is one of the few outbound calls Google makes. I know many of you get outbound calls supposedly from Google all the time with some scam artists trying to sell you SEO. But paid advertising is one of the few outbound calls Google actually makes. So a lot of people do that. They try to get started with it. They try to go it alone, or maybe you got a coupon in the mail for $50 for free advertising, and that got you started. And now you have no idea whether if it's working or not, but you're spending money on it every month. And we see people who do that waste a lot of money on pay-per-click. People that partner with a professional agency still can waste a lot of money on pay-per-click, but more often if you're trying to go it alone and you're not taking the time. If you're not going to take the time to get certified in AdWords and really figure it out and become an expert on it, would encourage you to not go it alone on that. referral traffic is down basically from everywhere. This is a conversation we've been having with customers a lot because as we see customers from all these channels that we're affecting up, we're seeing traffic from referral sites down across the board with few exceptions. And to kind of help you understand that, our customers are seeing referral traffic down 20 to 40% from third-party websites. I was on the phone yesterday with a customer. Their referral traffic from two really important sites, really high-quality sites that were an important part of their marketing plan in previous years. Traffic from those two specific sites was down 65% from one and 42% from the other. So our average, we're seeing customer referral traffic down 20 to 40% from third-party websites, but there are a lot of cases where it's more. And if you get a lot of referral traffic from third-party websites, associations, CVDs, organizations you pay to be a member of, those types of things, things you don't really have control of from a marketing perspective, but that you buy a listing or something, you need to be thinking about that because traffic is down for a lot of these third-party websites. And the traffic they're sending to you is down. A lot of them traffic is down, and then a lot of them have changed their strategy and they're not sending traffic out anymore. So there's a couple of reasons it's down. One is because their traffic's down, and the other is because they've changed their strategy and they're not sending that traffic out anymore. They're keeping that traffic captive. For example, TripAdvisor continues to redesign their platforms to send less traffic out, which to me, if you have a business listing, and one of the #1 traffic blogs on our site is about business listings on TripAdvisor, but if you have a TripAdvisor business listing, chances are your traffic is down from it because they keep redesigning their platform to drive traffic away from that business listing link. At the same time, they keep asking more and more money for traffic for the opportunity to have a business listing. So they keep driving traffic away from it and charging more for it, which is not a good scenario. And we've told more of our customers this year probably than ever before to drop their TripAdvisor business listing. Now, don't just take that as advice. That's all unique case-by-case examples, but we're happy to help you understand whether that's something you need to do or not. But take a hard look at your referral traffic because if you're losing business from referral sites, like we're talking about here, you have to be gaining business somewhere else, or your year is probably down. So if you're finding yourself in a place where your traffic is down or your business is down this year, it starts with analyzing where. And one of the places I would encourage you to look first is in referral traffic. Look at all these sources we've talked about, but referral traffic is a culprit we're seeing for a lot of people. Despite so many other things being up, they're down. And then specials and packages are really effective at driving bookings. We use specials and packages. We actually have an all-staff meeting once a quarter where we brainstorm specials and packages for our customers. And we share a lot of that information. A lot of them don't choose not to take advantage of that, but a lot of them do take advantage of that and drive tremendous success with it. And when we're making those recommendations, we know which packages are working, right? So we represent so many customers. We have all the data. We know what works. So we can make recommendations on specials and packages that work really, really well. And unfortunately, as good as they are at driving bookings, they're dramatically underutilized as a marketing tool. And I think one of the reasons they're underutilized as a marketing tool is because people don't really know how to put them together. Like people don't know how to make them compelling. People don't know how to tie them back with calls to action and incorporate them into content as a part of their site. People don't know how to promote them once they've created them in the first place. I think creating it and putting it on their website stops, like that's the end of the road, when in reality that's the beginning of the road. Now you have to have a whole promotion strategy for what you're going to do with it. I know hoteliers that I interact with that create packages and they create specials. They know no one will ever buy just so that they can put it out there and get publicity about it. There's a hotel in Charleston that did this whole helicopter package that was like thousands and thousands of dollars, and no one ever bought it. But they got a ton of publicity around that package, which got their hotel in the news, got their hotel in the media, and drove awareness for their brand and bookings as a result of that, even though nobody bought the package. So lots of different ways you can use specials and packages. Really talking about how to use them to drive bookings, but that's an interesting story about how they used it to drive publicity and drive PR. But you've got to create a compelling special and package. You got to know what goes into that, and you have to have a plan to promote that once you've created it. And then investing in a new website may be the spark your marketing needs. We talked a little bit about the role your website plays throughout our conversation today. But investing in a new website is so, so important. And we've done a lot of work in this area as well to continue to improve the website solution that we put out there for our customers. And actually at the beginning of this year, for the first time in our company's history, we made our website solution available to anybody in the marketplace because of how important we saw it being at a very affordable monthly subscription model and also a very affordable build it and custom solution model. So lots of great opportunities out there. But if you need a spark, if you're struggling to keep up with your competition, you're falling behind this year, a website may be a place for you to start. And if that's you, if that piques your interest, you've been thinking about that, we'd love to have a conversation with you. You can just get in touch with me, reply to any of the emails, and I'd love to just spend 30 minutes with you telling you a little bit more about the solution that we've built because that's the foundation of everything. Everything else we've talked about is designed to drive traffic back to your website. If your website sucks, chances are your marketing is not going to perform. So if you're investing in a marketing plan, you need to make sure you have a great website that you're driving that traffic back to, or you're leaving a tremendous amount of opportunity on the table. So it might just be that spark your marketing needs, but make sure you do that well, because if you don't do your website well, you can mess up a lot of things with your marketing. We have a customer, or a former customer, who did a website outside of something that we were involved with, and it totally tanked their traffic because the person who did it for them didn't do it well. And you've got to make sure you're working with somebody who knows what they're doing. Otherwise, you can cause yourself a lot of pain when in reality you were trying to create a new opportunity. So we've shared a ton of information today and kind of asked that question, what have you learned and what are you going to do about it? We're halfway through the year. There's still opportunity in 2017 to affect a change. What have you learned today and what are you going to do about it? We want to help you take that next step. We want to help you be able to do something about it. So we have a free analytics analysis, a free Google Analytics analysis that we're going to make available to everybody on the webinar today to take advantage of that. So if you want the free Google Analytics analysis, we'll help you take the data we've talked about today and make it real for you. Just check, yes, I'd love to know more about my marketing and how it's performing. Check that box. If you don't want the Google Analytics analysis, maybe you've done one recently with us or you're a Google Analytics expert, just check no. And we won't give you any more information about that. So either yes, I'd love Google Analytics analysis, or no thanks, I'm good, I'm all set, I understand my analytics. Need to get about 70% of the attendees to vote. I know some of you log in and then walk away, or you get a phone call or something, so not everybody's attentive. But only about half people voted right now. So maybe I needed to be a little more animated to keep everybody engaged. But yes, if you click yes or no, doesn't matter with us either way, but keep things moving along. We need to get the other votes in here on that poll that's on your screen right there to get that Google Analytics analysis. Awesome, there we go. We'll go ahead and close that out. As far as helping you benchmark and share your ideas, I had a question in the chat panel about what can we expect to get from the Google Analytics analysis. We'll help you benchmark your performance more specifically to you than we shared on the webinar today. And we'll also share ideas specific to help you take some next steps. If your traffic is low in specific areas, help you take some next steps. So that's what the Google Analytics analysis is all about. Right, let's go ahead and get this closed out. We are going to do Q&A next. So if you have any questions, pop those questions in the chat panel. We'll get those questions answered for you today. So use the chat panel there to ask your questions, and we will get to those questions and get those answered. All right, Q&A. My contact information is also available on the screen if you need that, if there's anything you want to follow up on. If you want to follow up with more information on the 5-star app, or you want more information on anything we've talked about today, the website, anything else, just feel free to call or email me, and we will get you that information. All right, first question here. You talked about sending email marketing campaigns out as early as today. What software would you recommend to do that? Yeah, totally. If your schedule's clear for the next couple hours, that's a great opportunity. If you're going to do it yourself and you're kind of a DIY kind of beginner marketer, we'd recommend probably MailChimp or Constant Contact. If you're more advanced from an email marketing perspective, there's a great piece of software that's a little bit more advanced called GetResponse, and it has a lot more advanced functionality, a little bit harder to use, but a great tool to be able to do that. Question, how have you managed to drive 64% year-over-year organic traffic growth? It would take a long time to teach like the how of all of that, but the tips that we gave on the webinar today, and we are going to send a recording out if you need to listen back through those tips, But the tips that we gave on the webinar today will help you start down that journey of being able to do that. There's so many facets to really make it work. It comes from optimizing the content on the website. It comes from having a great website in the first place. It comes from looking at page speed and the factor of that. It comes from creating regular content on the blog. It comes from sending great email campaigns because Google can see the way people are interacting with your email as well. There's so many factors. Review that slide on the blog and it will help you get some of those first things you should be working on. And if your organic traffic isn't where you think it should be, or it's not up year over year, it's down or flat, would encourage you to take advantage of that Google Analytics analysis. If you already checked no, then just send me an email and I can get with you on that. Next question here from Susan. How far out do you market the slow season, January through April here? It depends. I mean, we're trying to keep our messaging on point throughout the season that we're in. So I probably wouldn't be marketing January through April yet, but it depends on the type of units and accommodation. Larger, like family reunions, group business, those types of things typically book further out. So if you get a lot of that business, you need to be marketing further out. A lot of couples are booking more and more last minute. So in that case, you want to be marketing it closer to. Typically, though, to not totally talk around the question, but typically we're going to market something 60 to 90 days ahead because we want to plant the idea in somebody's mind. We want to get ahead of the search traffic for that particular topic or season and then be able to earn their business. So get it in their head, get them talking about it with whoever they're going to take the trip with because very few people travel alone. And then give them time to make that booking decision. So 60 to 90 days, Susan, would typically be what we're looking at, although it's getting tighter and tighter with the improvements that Google's making and how fast they rank things and the way consumer behavior is changing and booking more and more last minute. So you've got to kind of have a combination that you're really marketing things in various seasons. So like you might be marketing last minute summer bookings right now. At the same time, you're already marketing for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's reservations. So you just kind of have to balance that out. Well, those three questions were all we had in our chat panel today, so hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully we got everybody's questions answered. If you have any other last-minute questions, I did leave plenty of time here for them. It is 1:52 p.m. Eastern Time. Happy to get those questions answered for you guys. If we don't have any questions, we will wrap up. Keep an eye on your email. If you haven't registered for our next webinar, How to Drive Last-Minute Bookings, if you're on this webinar and you are a little bit behind where you wanted to be year to date, that's going to be a great webinar to attend because we're going to talk about how to drive last-minute bookings yet this summer. So definitely check that out. That's going to be next Tuesday, same time and place, and register for that via an email that we'll send you or on that upcoming marketing webinars page of our website. Thanks, everybody. Great connecting with you today. Do watch your email inbox for a recording of this over the next couple of days. Thanks.